Coming up in today's news, we are discussing strikers. We're going striker crazy. We're talking about Ollie Watkins. We're talking about Benjamin Sesko. Who will Manchester United be bringing in? What's the latest on those players? Is there any truth in what's going down? We'll be talking about that. Who do we want more, Sesko or Watkins? We'll also be talking about outgoings as well. What is the latest with Sancho, with Antony? Are we going to be seeing the back of them anytime soon? All coming up. Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to Stretford Paddock. I am Adam McKola. We are in the Windy City. We're in Chicago. The game is coming up very, very soon. But I'm not here to talk about the game. I'm here to bring you the latest news surrounding Manchester United. Plenty of talk about a striker coming in to Old Trafford, and we'll be covering Benjamin Sesko and having a little chat about Ollie Watkins as well, and weighing up which of those would be best for Manchester United, as well as getting into the validity of any stories around both of those players. And we'll also be discussing the truth around whether Antony could be going to Saudi Arabia and whether a bid has been made by Al Nassr or any other Saudi Arabia club. So we'll be getting stuck into all of that. But yeah, we're out here in Chicago. It's the second leg of the pre-season tour. I'm absolutely buzzing to be out here. My voice is recovering now as well after New York absolutely handed me a battering. It was good though, but you know, my voice was a little bit gone after that. And yeah, I'm recovering, and I've been about with the lads. We've been getting stuck into everything that Chicago has to offer. Also today, Jay spoke to Paddy Dorgu as well. That's up on the channel. You can check that out. And I also got a chance to speak with Rio Ferdinand, and we discussed his career at Old Trafford, various big talking points and milestones in that career. And that will be coming out on the channel very, very soon. So now is the best time to subscribe if you haven't already and get those notifications on. Right, let's get stuck into the news. What's going on? Fabrizio Romano is back at it again, and he's reporting that it's a key week for Benjamin Sesko's future, as Manchester United have also approached his camp to ask for deal conditions. Now, the reason why he says also is because Newcastle, he says, have presented their project to Benjamin Sesko last week, ready to bid if the player accepts. Sesko expected to decide his future very, very soon. Now, we've signed two players. It's all we've signed this summer, actually, Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo. And they are two players that Newcastle fans were convinced were joining them. It would be funny if we made it a hat-trick on Newcastle in this transfer window, just to, you know, make their fans pipe down a little bit, although I'm guessing they probably wouldn't. Anyway, as for Benjamin Sesko, I'm a little bit torn on this one. Look, he's a striker who's clearly got potential, who's clearly a little bit raw, who's clearly got, you know, a little bit of improving to do. He scored some goals out in Germany. He had a decent season last season. I think the transfer fee that they're talking about, and look, I'm aware of how much we've paid for Rasmus Højlund and how much other strikers are going on the market as well. I feel like the price is quite high, but when you're looking for a striker and there's such a lack of options in the market, the price is always going to go up on those that are available, and that could be moving on. Benjamin Sesko is clearly looking for a way out of RB Leipzig. They're clearly looking to get a deal done for him. He was linked with a move to Arsenal earlier in the transfer window. They seem to abandon that one and kind of like go towards Victor Gyökeres. Now, we don't know whether that was because the negotiations, the price was getting too much for them, although it would have been a very, very similar price, you imagine, to the price that was paid for Victor Gyökeres. Obviously, Victor Gyökeres, I have my doubts about him, and I've said it on this channel when we were linked to him various times. I have my doubts about whether he would have been the guy for Manchester United, but he does have, you know, more goals in his catalogue. He's obviously a little bit older, but he has scored a lot more goals than Benjamin Sesko and could probably justify that fee a little bit more. Nevertheless, if Sesko did come in, he's the kind of guy that would excite Manchester United fans, but there would be a lot of doubt. I mean, and there's always doubt over whether a transfer is going to work or not, or whether it's going to be a success or not. But I think with that one, there would be a little bit of, let's wait and see how this one is going to go down. The other striker that we have been linked with is Ollie Watkins, and Laurie Whitwell, our mate, who's also out here as well working for The Athletic, has been discussing Ollie Watkins to Manchester United and what could happen there. Will Ollie Watkins join Manchester United? Are they interested, etc.? Now, it does seem like there's some interest from Manchester United for Ollie Watkins, and, you know, Villa are being a little bit snide with this one. They're trying to ramp that price up. Obviously, there's every club has the right to do that and demand the money that they want for a player, and it's up to other clubs to decide whether they want to buy it. But Ollie Watkins is a player that in January, Aston Villa offered him to Arsenal, and they clearly were trying to make a deal happen for that one. Now, obviously, since then, John Duran has left. And he left for big money, so maybe they're in a position where they're not really looking to let Ollie Watkins leave, and that's the truth. But it is a little bit fishy, and I wouldn't be surprised that Ollie Watkins is one of those names, and maybe Benjamin Sesko as well, where United aren't quite sure. I think United really wanted Liam Delap. I think Liam Delap was probably the first choice, especially when you consider his price as well. He was available for a knockdown fee because of the fact that Ipswich had been relegated, and you think that he was probably a safer bet than someone like Benjamin Sesko. And with the upside to it, it costs half the price of probably an Ollie Watkins would set you back. Although I think Ollie Watkins should be worth around 45 million pounds. I think would be fair given his age and everything else into consideration. But Villa are going to demand around 60, which was double the price for Liam Delap. So it feels like the strikers that are there at the moment. Look, Man United clearly have to make some moves and make some deals happen on the exit side of things. Get those players like Antony, which we'll be discussing in a bit, Sancho, which we'll be discussing in a bit as well. We need to get rid of those players, and Malacia and Alejandro Garnacho looks like he's on his way out too, before we can make any deals happen on the incoming side. But I imagine those are two players that United are just keeping an eye on, weighing things up, seeing who they can get the better deal for. Now, who would I pick? I'd probably go Ollie Watkins, but because he's more Premier League proven. Although, obviously, the age means you're probably going to be looking to replace him in a couple of years anyway. But there's no problem for where Manchester United are at the moment, in terms of getting a player that can just help us get back into those Champions League spots, help us climb up the table, and then you move on and you reassess things when you do get that Champions League football potentially in the coming years or whatever. So, yeah, I would probably edge towards Ollie Watkins, but despite my doubts, I probably wouldn't mind Benjamin Sesko coming in either. It just depends what happens elsewhere. Will Rasmus Højlund be making a move as well? Now, one of those players we've been looking to get rid of, and look, I called him earlier on one of the podcasts that we did, the biggest waste of money Manchester United have ever had. When you consider the hype, when you consider the wages that we pay him, when you consider the ability and the talent that he actually has, Jadon Sancho has been a massive waste of time at Manchester United, and he should be embarrassed, really. I'd go as far as to say that. Dortmund, apparently, according to Patrick Berger, not that Patrick Berger, the journalist Patrick Berger, is saying that Dortmund are once again dealing with Jadon Sancho. The topic is still being discussed internally and is not entirely closed. United are said to be demanding around 18 to 20 million euros. This is the current situation. Again, you kind of feel like because of the players and the fact that we clearly want to get rid of them, the clubs that are probably going to want them are going to wait as well. Wait it out a little bit, see if you can get that price down. Now, obviously, the closer you get to the season starting, those clubs are probably going to want the player in the ranks a little bit early. But at the same time, they can just hold out and watch that price drop as we get closer to the end of the window, because United need to sell to then buy. So we need to leave. We can't just wait for deadline day. Do you know what I mean? We have to leave a bit of room to be able to make some business, and that's why I'm not surprised that we're just monitoring things a little bit slowly. But it does feel like, especially when we see the likes of Jason Wilcox and everyone out here, Barada and Ruben Amorim, constantly having various meetings and stuff, that they are working on things potentially happening. Now, Antony was linked with a move by Foot Mercato to Al Nassr. There was rumours of a bid being made. Now, I wouldn't believe Foot Mercato if they told me it was Tuesday, do you know what I mean? But anyway, Fabrizio Romano was jumped on that one as well and said, going to Saudi Arabia, he has to think it over. There's no offer from Al Nassr, and Betis still dreams of bringing him back. Now, we have to hope that one of these Saudi clubs come in for him, because Betis they ain't got the money really, have they, to make that one kind of happen? Do you know what I mean? And if we are going to be dealing with Betis, I wouldn't be surprised if we're either paying some of his wages or receiving a fee that isn't as high as we would want. Now, if the Saudi clubs come in for him, that they're not going to have a problem paying his wages, so United ain't going to have to worry about paying any of that, although his wages aren't as high as someone like Marcus Rashford's and various other players at the club. And a Saudi move would be obviously better for Man United, but is it what Antony wants for his career, his family? We don't know. And it's obviously something that is pondering and probably again waiting towards the end of the window. That's why United kind of need to make sure we're discussing things and we're keeping tabs on players and we're negotiating and speaking to their agents and making sure that once these moves do happen, we can act quickly in terms of bringing those players in, because we want to see as many of these players in the team or in the squad at least, you know, close to match week 1 or just after. It's probably going to be just after, but delighted we got Brian and Boomo and Cunha through the door. We got plenty more work to do though. Anyway, guys, that is it from me for today. Like I said, make sure you're keeping it locked. You like, comment, share, and hit that subscribe button. Get your notifications on as well. And we'll be back very, very soon. For now, this has been Stretford Paddock. I am Adam McKola. I'm out of here.